Thank you for tuning in to Ungentrified with Kent Johnson. Ungentrified takes an unfiltered view on pop culture, music, television and film, politics, current events, and topics central to the worldwide Black community. Ungentrified is a safe audio space for celebrating Black culture in its purest form. What's up, good people? It's your boy Kent. Man, I almost forgot how to do this. It has been that long, but I had a reason to come back, and I brought a friend. You might remember her. B, say what's up to the people.
Hello, I'm back. Ow.
And if you're listening, you're probably listening because last night, season 4 of Insecure started back up, and B and I were talking and was like, okay, we definitely got to bring back the recaps because people love the recaps and we love doing the recaps.
And we love them too. Yeah.
So it took forever for season 4 to come back. It felt like was it like a year and a half?
It was a long time. I was just looking and I saw that it was 2018 when it had started last year or last season.
Oh wow,
And so
that's right.
September of 2018 is when it started ended last time.
Yeah,
So it's been a really, really long time. It's because
you're right.
Issa, she got big.
Right, she's doing movies now and got a whole bunch going on. I think she has like a music label too. She's got a lot going on.
Yeah, I think, and she has a coffee shop. She just opened a coffee shop in LA, and
That's
she's doing a lot.
Yeah. So Insecure got pushed to the side, but it's back, and it couldn't be better timing because everybody's holed up in the house, or at least you should be. Hashtag stay home.
Stay at home.
And I'm so glad because I was worried yesterday that I was going to see people going to church or going to their grandma's house for Easter dinner, and mostly everybody stayed at home. I saw a couple infractions.
I definitely didn't post that I went to my mom's house, but I really went because she was eating peanut butter and jelly for dinner, so I had to go take her a little bit of food.
Okay, that's understandable. But yeah, y'all did good. Keep it up, so that we can actually go outside and play sometime before 2021.
I'm okay though. Like after just having a baby, I'm okay that we don't, need summer bodies this season. I'm okay if we push back to the fall or something.
Yeah, my summer body got pushed back like all these movie release dates are getting pushed back right now. It's a TBD date. It was Memorial Day, but now it's TBD. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen soon. But we do know what happened last night on season 4, episode 1, which was titled Lowkey Feelin Myself. And I think Lowkey is the new word that they're going to be using in each episode. As we know, in each season, there's been a word that's been constant in each episode. But the one thing we didn't figure out, or at least it didn't make itself available right away, was musically who the theme was. I think the last season it was Beyonce. The season before that it was Drake. So they pick a phrase to go with and like a musical theme. So I didn't see the musical thing unless it's Kaya. But I didn't see a musical thing.
It did have me backing it up though. It was like, oh y'all ladies, yeah. It threw me back.
Right. So if it is Kaya, I wouldn't be mad at that. But
I'd be a little bit mad because that's really the only song that I really ever bumped. But okay.
Hey. But yeah, Lowkey Feelin Myself. So we start off the episode with kind of a shocker. So it starts off 4 months ahead of time. 4 months. Is it 4 months after the block party, I believe?
I think it's at the block party because when it goes back, it says 4 months before the block party. So it's right. Maybe right after the block party.
Yes. And the first thing out of Issa's mouth is, I don't F with Molly no more.
I was like, whoa.
Right. I was like, whoa, but oh, okay.
Like,
'Cause
as you should.
right. Because I mean, we'd have been through 3 seasons of Molly being nasty, so I wasn't too much surprised. But now
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, how are we gonna get to that point? And like you said, it
Hmm.
was 4 months before the block party, so we got a time frame that we're working with. That this is the last 4 months of happiness between these two, and it seems like this is each season feels like there was a relationship that got tested, and of course, the first season was her and Lawrence. Uh,
Mm.
when I think of the second season, it was her and
Uh,
Daniel.
oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Daniel. I don't think we're
uh,
gonna see him this season.
yeah, I think he's gone for good.
Oh,
unless he
dang it.
unless he doing some beats for the block party, I think he's gone for good.
Okay, and then last season. Well,
I think
last
last
season
season
they
was
was
her.
all.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
It was her and her job last
It was
season.
like her, the job, but it was like all of them were kind of going through stuff, right? Because it was like them not connecting with old girl about the baby. It
Hmm.
was her and what's his face that she was dating, that
Nathan,
went Nathan that went ghost on her. So she was having like a lot of things happening that last season.
and it was also the end of her 20s. We're at the in the last episode of season 3 was her 30th
Hmm.
birthday.
Hmm.
Um, so she's coming into it as everybody did when they turned 30. Like I got to make a change. It's new decade, new me. 30 feels like something I didn't expect it to feel like because we all had those feelings of what we thought we were going to be at
Hmm.
30 and where we thought we were going to be at 30,
We were
and
gonna be Jeff
usually
Bezos.
right. Usually those things have not come to fruition just yet. Um,
No.
and you're just frankly surprised to be there at 30. So,
But
uh,
I'm really like excited for this season because like when you wrap it up like that with a bow on it at the end of last season, it was like a fresh, clean start. Like she was like, I'm good by myself. I don't that's how she actually started this episode. She was like, I don't have a man, check. I don't have a job, check. She's like, all of these things are gonna be good.
right, right. Right, and she's on good vibes only. That's her theme in life right now. Good vibes only. So it only makes sense that Molly would not be in the in the picture anytime soon if good vibes is
Oh.
the theme. Hey, I'm just telling the truth now. But you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think season 3 kind of ended an era, and even this episode felt a little different as far as like pacing. It felt a little bit more adult. It was definitely more
Hmm.
sex in this episode. It felt like everybody was getting it in.
Well, not
Um,
Molly and Andrew.
oh yeah,
No.
except for Molly. um, but yeah, it just felt like a different pace, a different pattern to things in this episode, but with good space. So they both she and Molly are on this whole self care, getting ourselves together kick, and they got self care Sundays going on. They're doing yoga. They're trying to hold each other accountable for the things that they're going through in life, and that's something
That's
I've done.
cool.
Yeah, with friends, try to have accountability checks and then you do it for a while and then you fall off on being accountable, which is sad, but uh
Or like one person can't make it, and so that means like it's all out the window.
right. And sometimes you're waiting to be like, whew, I'm glad I ain't got to be accountable no more. I was waiting for one of us
Yeah.
to mess it up.
Yeah.
So I can go back to being toxic and terrible, but yeah, but right now they're on it. They're in a good space. So
Mhm.
Issa's still trying to make the block party happen. She's working with Condola,
Gondola.
right?
Gondola.
Right, Condoleezza. We'll call her Condo. Condo's her nickname. So she's working with Condo. Condo got all the connections. She's like, "Yo,
She
I'll get
does.
you linked up with folks from Target, from Diageo." Like, she got everybody that Issa needs to make this block party happen, and they come up with doing a mixer to bring all these folks together to kind of pitch to sponsors directly in their face. So that's what they're working on. We do know from the last season that Kondo was dating Lawrence. Like,
Lawrence.
right, they had went out on 2 dates by the end of the
Hmm.
season, and we also found out that she was a divorcee. Um, so Kondo and Issa haven't had the conversation about Lawrence being a tie that connects them. So they were just working, with this burgeoning friendship, professional relationship,
No,
just
they really liked each other. Like they were. I mean, Issa was shopping just to impress her. Like she was, they really like was trying to get along. How long between the baby shower and this? How long between the baby shower and this? The like, is this going on? Have they been? Was it like a month or something? I think they said.
I don't know. I'm not sure
I
of the timeline, but
I feel like I heard a month or something, but I feel like it would have come up somehow. I
yeah,
feel like I mean like I know they were already talking about this guy because Issa was like, "Oh, your new boo thing, like oh, you're gonna bring him to the thing." Like I feel like the fact that she met him at the baby shower or who he was would have came up if they were spending this much time together. It would have come up like before now.
right. But then it's also that like you get to know somebody and you're being a friend, so you don't pull out all your cards right away. So it may not
Yeah,
have come up like that. It may have been, oh, I have a date, no, 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 no.
yeah, I
Uh,
guess.
and it still doesn't even come up until a third party gets involved, and the third party being Tiffany, who to me that was shady that Tiffany didn't say anything about it.
Right, that's supposed to be your friend. And she was all in her head last season about, keeping her friendships even though she's having a baby and whatnot. So I would have thought she would have been like, "Oh, girl," and she's super messy. So normally, like in general, so I would have
Mhm.
thought she would have been like, "Oh, girl, guess what happened at the baby shower?"
Right,
Or it
right.
would have gotten around. Like she would have told somebody who then told Issa or something like that. Like I think that it would have come up before now.
Yeah, there were several stages of opportunity where Tiffany could have said something. She could have said something the moment Kondo said something to her about Lawrence, like, "Ooh, that's my homegirl's ex. She was at
Ex,
the party.
yeah,
You met her. It's Issa." Like she could have said it there. She didn't. She could have said it after the first date. She didn't. And at the same time that she could have said it to Condola, she could have been saying it to Issa, like, "Oh, Lawrence was trying to talk to one of my girls from work that he
yeah,
met at the baby shop." Like she really was messy on both ends.
yeah.
Like I looked at her. I was surprised that Issa didn't kind of go off a little bit more about that. But I think it's
She's
also like,
pregnant.
yeah, that and like this is what Tiffany does.
It
So
is.
she kind of left it to be.
And
But
she also was in front of old girl. So she was not gonna like show all her hands. I mean, she's clearly like I said, she's dressing to impress this girl. She's, raving about her. She kind of feels like she's trying to get on her level. So the
mhm.
fact that she's, with her ex that she still has feelings for, she didn't want to like blow it up in front of her. If anything, she probably went in the bathroom and screamed a little. But she didn't want to, she was like, "Oh no, it's cool. Do you have some exes that I could get up on?"
Right.
So she tried to play it off, but that's why I think she didn't go all the way off.
Yeah, and it's awkward as hell to have that, and then to know that you're like you say you're trying to impress your new friend, and your new friend is the version of you that you want to be that is attracting your ex. So you got
Oh,
your
I
ex when he
know.
was bummy, and now he's stable, got things in order, and this is who he links up with, and this is the girl who you are looking up to get like. So yeah, there's a couple of layers to that awkwardness there, and
And I'll
yeah,
even throw another layer on top of that, which is Condola is pretty much like the nexus of her whole project, right? Like
hmm
she's pretty much project managing and bringing all the deliverables for this project. Otherwise, Issa would have just been like wishing that she could do this block party. Remember, she was having a hard time last season filling out paperwork or
right,
getting, even like knocking on people's doors. Like this person is the one who's going to potentially propel her to success. and into like all her future successes, right? So I think it's also that like it's almost like your boss is dating your ex or something. Like you kind of like, ooh, I want to say something, but I also need to keep this good rapport. I can't burn this bridge just yet.
Right, right. Because Issa needs her. Uh,
Yeah.
Kondo doesn't need Issa. So
Oh no.
yeah, she got a job. She know how to throw events. This isn't her event. Like she doesn't have too much of a stake in the game, other than the fact that she's sharing her portfolio of connects with Issa. But like she's she's okay if if they don't continue with this friendship or professional relationship. She's good, but Issa definitely is in a space where she feels like she needs that connection, and it.
But then, like, if you think about it, like on the other side of that, what is her motivation to keep it going? Just to like, I mean, because I do think that they were building a friendship, but I
Mhm.
mean, and I think a month is when she told to when she spoke to Lawrence about it is I think that's when she said a month or something. But what's her motivation to stay in it, right? Like if she's not really getting anything like business wise out of it other than just like helping a friend of a friend or just doing another of just another event. It's kind of like what they all kept saying during the little reception. I'm
Mhm.
kind of like, what is it, just to save face in front of Lawrence and her to keep tabs maybe even or like get to know her more? Like I'm just trying to figure out why she doesn't just say, you know what, this feels like a conflict of interest.
Yeah. I think that might be the professional in her, just maintaining it and being like, let me just ride it out and see what happens with it, or it's not a problem yet. But if it does become one, then I'll let it go. But yeah, she really doesn't have any skin in the game, other than the fact that maybe she would have to answer to those connections that she invited to the mixer. Because at that point, they were already, it was like 24 hours before
Mm,
it was supposed to
hmm.
happen.
That's
So
true.
that might have been, the skin in the game that she had. But you brought up a good point. You called it a little mixer, which was was the first dig that Molly gave to Issa when she was talking about what Issa's been doing. Well, let me not say first dig. The first dig of season 4, because she's been going in on this event since it was a thought in Issa's mind. I remember how they clown musical with the Q in the last
I
season, and
do.
she was always trying to pop Issa's bubble when it came to this idea. So
And whether or not she could like pull it off.
right, and when black folks say little in front of anything, it's
Like, oh, your
diminishing
house
the.
is so cozy.
Right. Oh, look at your little house. Oh, look at your little boyfriend, your little girlfriend. Oh, you finally got your little degree. Like this is how people take you down a notch. Um,
Hmm.
and not only is she doing that, but she's doing that to people outside of the circle. Like she's driving with Andrew on their way to Issa's mixer and tries to come at you. So like, oh, it's don't expect too much of this little mixer,
Hmm.
like already knocking it down before she's seen any part of it.
Anything. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And that's not how a true friend would approach your stuff. And then she comes from a space of let me help you because I know you need it, instead of let me help you be great. Because
Right.
there's two different ways to approach that. Like, oh, she need
That
my
and the
help.
fact that there's always there's not always, but a lot of times, especially like on TV shows, there's always that friend who only feels good about being your friend because you're lower than them, right? Like
Hmm.
at least I got a man. I'm not like Issa, or at least I got a good job. I'm not Issa. So if Issa does like right now, she's already mentally clearing her path to like do better. She's hooking up with the what are they called?
TSA
The
Bay,
TSA. Yes.
Calvin, yeah.
She's already hooking up with this dude. But to me, like when I first saw that scene, I was kind of like, oh man, is she slumming it? Which is bad on me. Like I was like, oh, she's, is this like a pity bone or something? only because she's had so many in the past. Like,
Hmm.
oh, God, let me just go in and do this real quick. But I mean, like, they seem like they actually had some good rapport
Right.
there. So, but Molly took him down a notch too. She was like, she called him, there's TSA Bay or whatever. Like, just to even give him a name, even though we all give names, but just to give him a name, like, oh, that dude, like he was not worth the time, but I guess he's fine for you.
Right. And I mean, like I said, for all we know, he's a good dude. He is responsive to Issa's needs in the bed. He came with gifts
Hmm.
afterwards. He had Henny and weed for her afterwards. He
Yep.
he stepped up to the plate when she asked for help and did security
Hmm.
for the party. Hyped up her party as
He
before
did.
people came in there. Like he's
He
the
was the
the friend you
ultimate hype
need.
man.
Right.
He's
He
like, this
might
party
be
gonna be lit. I can't wait for the big one.
honestly, at this point, him and Kelly are the only two friends that Issa really has because Molly, you know, taking digs at her on the low. Tiffany won't give her a heads up about relationships that's happening with her ex. So TSA Bay and Kelly are the only ones that's really riding for Issa
Hmm.
right now. But
Well, I get the feeling Kelly rides for everybody. She's just a good friend. She's just down for whatever.
yeah, I agree. Even Issa's brother Ahmad wasn't down for her. Why would you play Kaya at a professional mixer, regardless of who was
He was
requesting it?
taking requests. Okay, he was taking requests.
He had a playlist. He had a specific playlist and chose to play Kaya, and
He was
and
trying
not
to
even
play to the
the clean
demographic.
version.
No, it wasn't. That was the straight hood hole in the wall club
Right.
version.
Yeah. So Issa definitely needs to change out some of her friends. But, we're at the mixer. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take a step back. On the way to the mixer, after Molly takes the dig at Issa, um, Andrew, who she got back on her team after being nasty in the last season, told her that he's dating other people. They casually dating, they ain't put no label on it. And, he's seeing other people. He got a date next week, so he can't hang out. And Molly, in true Molly fashion, instead of saying how she feels, fronts like she's
Flipped
cool
on
with
him.
it, right? And then catches
Yeah.
feelings. Yeah.
Hmm. Then
Um.
she too busy to take him home. She too busy to talk to him. I'm gonna let him find me. She went all the way south on him, and she really, like we were talking about before this, she don't have any legs to stand on. He barely took her back at the end of last season, like just barely.
Right. Right. And it's like you could have easily had the chance to set your intentions out with what you wanted, and you didn't. And it bothered her so much that she didn't even help Issa in the way that she could when she got there. Issa was like, "Hey, can you do the thing that you do that makes people give money?" And she was so consumed with what happened in the car with Andrew that she didn't even help that way.
Yeah. But I'm glad that Issa was like, yeah, okay, and moved on.
Right.
Like, I would love to hear that. And she didn't even say any of this, but she was like, I would love to hear that, but this is business right now, so I gotta go work.
Yeah. Um yeah, so the party goes on. Issa was having a bit of imposter syndrome, and I think it goes back to I think most of us thought that when we saw her in the bed with Calvin, TSA Bay, that there was something else going on before we were introduced to who he was as a character. That maybe she was giving it up for a sponsorship or something, like it was in exchange for
Okay, I did
something.
not think that she was giving it up for a sponsorship. That's messed up.
Well, we thought that there was something that she wasn't getting, um,
Right.
uh, and that was the way that she was getting it.
Hmm.
So uh, the imposter syndrome really does creep up at the party where she feels like she can't be herself in front of all of these people that she's pitching this idea to. And I think we've all been in that space where we're trying to accommodate everybody instead of being the thing that is of interest to people.
Hmm.
We're
That people gravitate to. Hmm.
right, right. So she's telling everybody what they want to hear. Oh no, it'll be very political, to somebody, and or no, it'll be all about the music to somebody else. And
Hmm.
um, that way she wasn't being honest to herself, and finally had a personal kind of come to Jesus moment and realized that she could do it on her own. And I think it sets a point too where she realizes that she already has the tools to be a condola if she wanted to, because
Yeah.
we know that they're so awkward around each other now with this new information about Lawrence that they were really stepping on each other's toes and not making anything happen.
Yeah.
And they were more
Yeah.
powerful, separating it and doing their thing. And then,
Yeah. Condola was like, "You go that way. I'm gonna go this way."
yeah. So now Issa's kind of harnessing in on her potential to make something great, which is a good moment for her because we know that from what we've learned about her in the last 3 seasons is that she needs like a cheerleader. She needs somebody behind her telling her that she can do it. Very rarely is she telling herself and actually believing it when she's saying that she can get something done. So she needed that
Mhm.
moment. It was a good moment for her. Um,
Yeah. I was really glad to see Paula J. Parker too. I haven't seen her in a really long time.
yeah, yeah. Shout out to Issa and whoever's working casting for always putting black actors and actresses back on in some way, space, or form. Whether it's uh, on the fake TV shows that come every season,
Oh my
or
God, I was thinking about that fake TV show. It was so
yeah,
funny. I want to see the real one.
right. I'm hyped for looking for Latoya
Yes.
and the cameos because so far we've seen what Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta,
Uh-huh. Yep.
Ray J. I saw in the credits that Candy Burris, I guess, pops up in one of the Looking for Latoya
Oh, I
episodes.
didn't see that.
Yeah,
I didn't see
so
that.
I feel like that's about to be a whole fool. um,
I just hope I don't pay more attention to looking for Latoya than I do the actual show because
I'm
it sucks you in.
right. I'm gonna be upset if we don't find Latoya by the end of the season, but um, yeah, she's always bringing folks back. She brought back Erica Alexander for the
Hmm.
'90s TV show. You said Paula J. Parker. Um,
Uh-huh.
I can't think of her name. Terry Levita from
Yes,
Steve
from
Harvey.
the Steve Harvey.
Yes,
Yeah,
Terry
because
is
when
her
I was
first
watching,
name. I can't think of her last name.
wait, I know that voice. When I was like in the kitchen, I was like, I know that voice. What is she on this show? And then I was like, oh no, she is on a sub show.
Yes.
She is the subplot.
Terry Vaughn, that's her name. Terry Vaughn, otherwise known as Levita Alizé Jenkins from the Steve Harvey Show. But yeah, she's
Oh
always
man.
bringing folks back. So that's
Hmm.
always dope to see, especially for an old person like me who has nostalgia attached to these actors and actresses. But
Yes.
yeah. So Issa's riding on a high. The event went well. They got a group of sponsors. She's in a good space. Things are going great. Molly stays behind to help, and they kind of have an accountability attack on each other, where Molly's like, how could you still be friends with Kondo after finding out that she's dating Lawrence? And I don't see how you could do that, but that's the kind of stuff you like to do. You like being in negative spaces, and
Ugh,
that
yes.
that was kind of it was a deep dig. That was completely uncalled for.
Yeah.
But really, that's what Molly does when she's upset with herself. She
She
starts to
takes people
lash.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah, she takes people down with her.
yeah. So Issa was
But you
kind of
could
just
tell
like,
that one. You could tell that one shook Issa though, because it almost like took a little bit of wind out of her, and she took a little step back, and then she was just like you said, like, oh well, that's Molly. Yep.
right. Yeah, she was like, well, you know what? I think I can handle this. I'm good. Like she really kind of brushed it off. You saw the hit take impact, but then
Hmm.
she realized that she had to have a woosah moment internally and was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna see if it works. And that's
Yep.
that's that on that. But she took that opportunity to kind of throw some accountability back and be like, why didn't you just say what you
How
wanted?
you felt?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Instead of beating around the bush, and you really don't have the space to be beating around no bushes because you should be happy somebody want to talk to your ornery ass in the first place. But
Hmm.
um, the one thing that I noticed when they had this back and forth was that Issa accepted the unsolicited advice. She was like, "Okay, thank you, but this is what I'm gonna do." Whereas Molly kind of balked at it, but then took the advice and actually texted Andrew and apologized and said how she felt. So she wouldn't give Issa the satisfaction of saying like, "Thank you, I'm gonna try
But
that,"
yeah,
but
no.
she expected that from Issa. So I think that's part of the issue too, is that she she gives advice with the understanding that I know better than you do,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna let you know that your advice is good, but I am gonna put it to use later on. And those people
Because
get
she
on my
knows that it
nerves.
makes sense. She knew
Yeah,
that it made sense that she was being stupid, but obviously she would not ever admit that.
yeah, yeah. But this is a setup for what we know is about to happen, and now we're just figuring out the how we get to that point. But it puts some things in the trailer in perspective because I went back and watched the season 4 trailer. Now that we know that it's the beginning of the end for them, there's a scene where she and Molly meet in a restaurant, and it appears as though they haven't seen each other in a while. So I think that's a
Hmm.
scene from one of the later episodes, probably towards the end. Uh, but we know in the next episode that Kondo, Molly, and Issa are all at a restaurant together, and the tension is thick. So we're just gonna see this kind of nitpicking. I think we're gonna see a really major blow up between Issa and Molly. I think Issa's gonna go off on Molly, and I feel like it's gonna happen either right before the block party or at the block party.
Hmm. I think I'm just also like kind of glad that in my mind, when I first saw the I don't F with Molly anymore, in my mind, I was thinking back to last season with the whole thing with Nathan, like where she took it upon herself to kick him to the curb. Like, don't, you can't come up in here. And I was like, oh man, is this whole season going to be about her relationship deteriorating because of a dude? So I
Hmm.
feel like this kind of just aligns more with her coming of age, or coming into her own of, no, like, you're attacking my character, you're attacking what I'm capable of doing, like, my goals and accomplishing them. Like, that's something to me that's more, it's a bigger level than, oh, you said something to this dude I was dating, type of thing. Like, that's kind of trivial to me, like, to end
Right.
friendships over stuff like that. If you're like honestly trying to better yourself and do, have a goal and try to make something of yourself, and someone that's your supposed friend really attacks that, then that's when you're kind of like, are we even friends? Because no, because I supported you when you was going to college and going to get your law degree and
Hmm.
still messing up all your relationships just to focus on your career. I supported you either way, but for me to just like really trying to doing something better with my life, and then you're knocking me down, like, that's not a real friend.
Right. And these are really the lessons we have as 30-year-olds about our
Yeah,
relationships, because we start to realize that time isn't a
it's value.
qualifier. Yeah. You know, some of my favorite people in my life I met, in the last maybe 5 or 10 years, not people who I've
Hmm.
known all my life. And then, it's just assumed that, oh, they've known me since I was 14 or 15, that we good because of that length of time. But if somebody been nasty to you that whole time, it don't matter. Some of the people who ride for me and are always supportive are people who I just met.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
mean, other than me, because I've been here from
right,
the
right, right.
beginning,
Other than
So
you, other than you.
other people. But I was just letting you get that out.
Yeah, but I mean, we've all had moments that were like major life moments for us, and the Mollies in our lives show themselves. I
Hmm.
remember when I was moving from Baltimore to Atlanta, I had a few people who told me I was gonna fail when I moved down here,
That's
and
terrible.
yeah, and it's like, why would you say that to somebody? Like, what, telling me, oh, you'll be back. You'll be back. Like, why would you say that to somebody? But there were people who I had just met 6 months before who were riding for me and giving me the encouragement that I needed to make things happen. And you can't
Hmm.
expect to have people in your lives forever. It's great if you can, but I know some
Hmm.
people who won't even consider making new friends later on in life because of that time aspect. And it's like that's
Mm,
not the only thing that qualifies a good friendship.
no.
Especially when it comes to guys. Guys are really hard on making new friends anyway. So time is the only thing that we really quantify a lot of our friendships on, and sometimes that's not the case. But I think that's it's one of those lessons that you attack in your 30s, and as you're
I
trying to
mean,
figure out like the things you don't want to deal with anymore.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not even just your friendships. It's just everything that you don't want to deal with anymore. Like you have to start making adult decisions. Like I remember when I first started dating my now husband, but when we first started dating, like we really liked each other. We really did like each other, but he didn't cheat on me, I didn't cheat on him. It wasn't like a thing like that. It wasn't like abusive. It wasn't anything that you normally are like, Psh, I'm done with this dude. It was like stuff just wasn't clicking. And I think like when you're young, you just put up with stuff. You're just like, like let's just keep it going because, certain things are going good, even if it's not all going good. But like in your 30s, you're like, time. You're like, I really like you, but this is just not working. Like we just need to move on. Or you just, you make better decisions. Like I also encountered this whole thing that Molly's going through, which is like, although I was the Andrew, I was like, this is, we didn't, this is not official, right? So I'm gonna still keep dating because I do want to find somebody. I can't just be wasting all my time on, one person when if that person's not also saying like we need to be in a committed relationship. So, I had to date a few people, and then one person was like, "Oh, you dating other people," and it really bothered them. But like I think in your 20s, you a lot of times, not always, but in your 20s, you either are like a serial uh, dater, one nighter, or you're like a serial committer. And I was the
Hmm.
committer. So when I hit my 30s, I was like, nah, I'm about to find something for real. I gotta like cast a wider net. So I hope that, and I'm sure she will, but I hope that Molly starts to get the maturity that she needs to cultivate these relationships a little bit better. Like it can't just be all about her, and it can't just be, this person should know what I'm thinking and do what I want.
Right.
She needs to like communicate.
And Molly's a perfect example of people thinking because they did things by the book that they should get everything that comes with that,
Mhm.
but not taking into account their trash ass personality. Like, yeah, you could have a great job, great place, great car, money good, look good, but that doesn't absolve like all of the other toxic traits you got about yourself. But they don't. I know a lot of folks like that who are like, I don't understand why. Well, it's because you're nasty,
You're
you're
horrible.
rude, right, and you don't take any accountability for how you operate in the world outside of you
Hmm.
clocking in and out of work and getting a promotion. Like you don't have any kind of real semblance of understanding of how people view you. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and sometimes that's the lesson you get in your 30s too. It's not you seeing it internally, it's somebody calling you the fuck out about how you've been acting for the last 10 or 15 years. So
Hmm.
I think we're going to see this season it
See
be
that with her.
yeah, it's gonna be the turning points in two ways. Either I turn inward and I look at myself, or somebody got to turn around and slap some sense into me because I can't see it for myself. So we're gonna see two versions of change happening. Someone who's willing to accept that change is needed, and someone who has to get kicked first to realize that change is needed. But uh, before we go,
Mhm.
any predictions for this season?
I probably should have watched the trailer a few more times. I did watch it a bunch because I saw it on Instagram too. But I don't have any. I know that this whole triangle is going to be somewhat of an issue. I
Hmm.
don't know the level though, because I really feel like Issa has matured enough that really that's a back burner. Like I'm focused on career development now. Whereas like the flip of Molly focusing on her relationship now that she's already hit that career level. So I feel like, oh, I do want to see a little bit more of Lawrence, but I don't know. I feel like he could also, that whole storyline could also be like a back burnery type thing to the big event, which is the block party. So
Hmm.
and I hope so too. And I kind of hope that Issa and Condola can be friends because, like you said, like that's I think that that's kind of what she's trying to get to, and it's almost like a peer mentorship that they have going on. And I want that for Issa. I want her to hit that next level. So
Right.
I want the Lawrence thing to fall by the wayside so that she can get where she needs to get instead of letting these men relationships, lead the way in her life.
Right. I do think the men are going to take a backseat this season. I mean, they've always kind of been in the background to begin with, but I think even more so. I think it's going to be more so about the relationships between the women,
Mm-hmm.
specifically these three. Uh, I don't want to think that the writers would be this predictable, but it also lends to the opportunity for Issa and Lawrence to have a slip up.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see a little bit of now that the awkwardness is starting to subside, and Issa and Kondo have decided that they're going to keep moving forward with this. There's also a bit of competition now happening, and because
Yes, I noticed that too.
yeah, like Condola went back to Lawrence's, and she was like, "Oh, let's let me show you how real I am about this
Yeah, I'm gonna put
decision."
it down. Yeah.
Right. And this was after she saw that Issa could, in fact, handle it on her own. So
Hmm.
I think we're going to see that happen. With Molly and Andrew, I really can't call it. Well, I do know in the after show, Issa and Prentice spoke about it kind of being a reversal this season where we see Issa stretch professionally and we see Molly kind of fumble her way relationship wise. So who
Hmm.
knows what we'll see happen with him. I'm curious. I don't think Nathan's gonna pop up, but you never know.
I'm fine if he doesn't, but I am not fine if we don't see a lot more Andrew because I'm on his trade now.
You're on the Andrew train. I'm
Yeah, I'm done with Lawrence and I'm done with um Nathan, and I like the callback to Dro. I like that Issa said mentioned Dro when she was like, "Who's your new boo? Is it Dro?" And it was not.
right.
That would have been nice too.
Right.
I like looking at him, but we all know he's a dirty dog.
Right. Well, I'm riding for Calvin the TSA Bay, but I feel like he's gonna get lost in the sauce, especially if this goes really well for Issa. I feel like he's gonna be a casualty of war, and he shouldn't. He comes with gifts,
That's no,
you
that is
know.
not a serious relationship. That is
I mean, it's
strictly
even
that's a
if it's
fun relationship.
casual, yeah, it's a casual thing, and they're both being responsible adults about it. But I feel like he's gonna get the short end of the stick,
Oh
even
yeah,
with that.
we probably only gonna see him like two more times.
I want him to get
Well,
all of the screen time. Shout out
you want him to be
to
bumped up to a main character?
yeah, season regular. I want him to get all of the screen time. Uh, but yeah, other than that, the trailer was really slim on giving away anything.
Details.
Yeah,
But that's good. That's good.
yeah. But yeah, if you liked our recap, stay tuned because we'll have recaps for all 10 episodes because there's 10 episodes this season, and we'll be dropping
And
these as
we won't be rusty next week.
yeah, we don't know. We
We're a
had to get
little
back in the
rusty this
groove.
week.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was a lot to unpack. We had a couple of things to talk about. But now that we're back in the space and we know what we're working with, we'll be right back on it. But of course, if you like this, please subscribe on whatever outlet you listen to podcasts. That definitely helps us out. If you really want to help us out even further, leave a review. Those are always nice. Stars are great, but words are even better. And of course, you can find this episode And all of the other episodes on the website, ungentrifiedpodcast.com, and on Twitter and Instagram at ungentrifiedpod if you want to yell at us about anything that we've said today. Or if
That
you
was
want to listen
derogatory.
to our recaps from the last season, all of those things are there as well. Until next time, which would be next week, keep sharing HBO logins and watching with us so that you can join the conversation. Peace.